Absolutely wow. I don't know what to say. I It is probably the best half of rugby I've ever seen a Springbok team play. That was absolutely sensational. We sort of wrote off the Twickenham game as an anomaly, the fact that the Boks got everything right and before the World Cup and the All Blacks didn't. But this, wow, 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 wow. That second half, that first half, so many disruptions, so many injuries, so many everything going on in that game. And wow, I don't know what to say more than that. Wow, wow, wow. I think anybody who watched that game, that is the biggest victory over the All Blacks in New Zealand by a Springbok team. Possibly, I don't know the records, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win against an All Black team ever in New Zealand. That's probably the best half of rugby I've ever seen. They were absolutely sensational. This is a full-time hot take. This is straight after the final whistle. The final whistle's just gone. I've got to bunker down and write my match report now, and Gavin Rich and I will be back later to analyse the game in a lot more detail. And we've got Nick Mallett coming in tomorrow. But I just thought for now, I've got to get something out there because wow, 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 wow. My goodness, what more do you say? What do you say to a win like that? Absolutely stunning, absolutely amazing. I think use all the superlatives, get the thesaurus out. Say everything that you can about the Springbok side. That 40 minutes is one for the ages. It's one that's going to go down in history. It's one that's going to be remembered forever. That is one that will shake world rugby. It's one that's the earthquake in world rugby. It's an earthquake in New Zealand rugby. I was quite surprised this week because I was chatting to a lot of New Zealanders, did a couple of radio shows there, talks to them, and they were all very nervous about Scott Robertson. And I thought after last week's win at Eden Park, with that record intact, that must have stabilised things, but obviously not because Scott Robertson's now under a lot of pressure because I can see the All Blacks fans really taking this hard because he hasn't had the confidence in him, even though his record has been exceptional. Of course, All Black fans have been carrying on about that they were robbed in the World Cup final and all that stuff. And yes, the Springboks were lucky to win that World Cup by 3 one-point victories, quarter semis and final. And they were under pressure going into this game. This young team that was selected, this young backline, I said it before when I saw the team. They can either score 50 points or they're going to concede 50 points. We didn't see the disruptions that were going to come. We lost Luete Jager early on in the game. They lost Kobus Reinach for a while. They lost what's his name? Sasha went quite early in the game as well, and they lost him. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many players that got disrupted there. I think there was 4 or 5 during the game. They had nobody left on the bench. They had Kwagga Smith come on there. Andre Esterhuizen had to come on before the end of the first half. So many disruptions. And what a fight. It was at 10-7. We were saying, oh, geez, I was chatting to some people. I listened to Skalkberg on TV and I agree. We didn't have scoreboard pressure. We were in there. We were dominating the game. We were dominating the air, the box, but they weren't getting the reward for it. And that really worried me because that's happened so many times in New Zealand before. The Boks dominate parts of the game, but they don't get the rewards. And the All Blacks were getting away with little things. Kobus Reinach's knock on, the hand in the ruck, things like that, where the ref allowed them to get away with it. And sometimes you got to feel for the ref because that does happen. But wow, wow, wow. That second half, 29 unanswered points. I think it was 36 unanswered points in the end. I'm just going to go back and look at my stats anyway. But 36 unanswered points and just the clinical nature. It all came together. It all clicked. And you know where it clicked? When Wilco Lowe and Jan-Hendrik Wessels came on. Their scrum changed. That first scrum that they demolished the All Blacks. The Boks got go for it ball. Kobus Reinach broke there. Sia took it on. And then they scored from that. And I mean, absolutely exceptional. I would say I'm lost for words, but I've obviously spoken a lot here, so I'm obviously not lost for words. I'm just one very happy reporter who's covered the Springboks for years. I've watched over 400 odd test matches live. I've followed the Boks. I've been to how many World Cups. I haven't ever seen a performance like that in a second half. In New Zealand, I don't think a lot of people understand how difficult it is in New Zealand. I've been with rugby teams there that have deserved to win. I think of 2013 Bismarck's red card or yellow card for Dan Carter. I've been there where teams have had terrible decisions against them, where the All Blacks have got away with murder and they've won games. And the All Blacks always find a way to win. But today they were demolished in that second half. They were smacked around like by the Springbok team. And what this does now, it gives Rusty license to start making wholesale changes. It shows you that while we've all been criticizing and while the results haven't been there in this rugby championship, it gives him the resolve now that he can play these youngsters at any time. This Boks team is so resolute after these 40 minutes. They can go and lose half their team, half their pack, and still win a game by 40 points in New Zealand, 30 odd points in New Zealand. That is absolutely amazing. That is wow, wow, wow. I don't know. I'll be back, as I say, with Gavin. We'll be doing some more takes on this. We'll do a lot better, a lot more in-depth one. This is a purely emotional reaction. This is, I think, probably mirroring what's happening out there all across South Africa. This is probably, I mean, this is an earthquake. It's a rugby earthquake. This is a seismic shock to world rugby. Because if the Boks can do this in one half of rugby in New Zealand, they can do this to any team anywhere. And that 2 years out from the World Cup must be a very scary thing for teams as well. But on the day, Ethan Hooker was my man of the match. He was exceptional in the air. And that last break of his that led to the try, I think it was of... I can't even remember who scored now. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But that break of his, he was so calm under pressure, strong in the tackles, made all his tackles. In the air, he was exceptional. Marnie the Book, give him a round of applause, because coming in at that point, Sasha had gone down, a lot of pressure on him. A lot of Boks fans were probably saying, oh dear me, hell, not Marnie. But he kicked superbly. One or two were a bit long, but he controlled that game amazingly well. Fair enough, he was getting front foot ball, give him that. But yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, every single one of this team needs to take a bow. Rowan Nokia for stealing that line out in the All Blacks 22 at a crucial time that really turned the game in the Boks' favour, led to a try. There's so many of these little small moments that the Boks just showed that more resolve. And yeah, I know people have been questioning us in the comments of when we talked to Nick and Gavin about them saying this isn't a great All Black team. I think you've got to understand, comparing to All Black teams of 2011 to 2015, they would always find a way to win no matter what. They would always get out on top. And this team today, they don't have the same resolve. Of course, they're also in a building phase. You've got to give them that. But there's no such thing as a bad New Zealand team, especially in New Zealand. So, yes, back to this. One word for today, wow. And if I'd have to sum it up, I'd say a rugby earthquake happened in that second half in Wellington. Maybe that's, given New Zealand's history, please excuse me if some people think I'm a bit... I mean it purely in the rugby sense there, given New Zealand has had earthquakes in the past. But this is really a seismic shock to world rugby. This is a revolution that, whether you want to call it Tony Ball, whatever you want to call it, this was a Boks team that stood up today and was counted exceptionally well. So apologies on the earthquake thing. I didn't mean it in obviously that way. I'm just spouting words here. I'm full of emotion, absolutely gobsmacked by what I've just seen from the Springboks. And well done, guys. This team is special. We're living in a special Springbok era, back-to-back World Cups, and to do stuff like this, man, absolutely amazing. Wow. Absolutely wow, wow, wow. I can't say anything more. I suppose if I have to say it one more time, wow. Anyway, that's it. Keep an eye out. In about an hour or so, we'll get Gavin on after the press conferences, and we'll have those up as well. So they'll be on this channel, and then keep an eye out. I'll have Gavin on, and then we'll chat. And tomorrow we'll be chatting to Nick Mallett as well to get his views. So keep an eye on this channel. If you haven't already, please smash that subscribe button. Give the thumbs up. It's all just helps with the algorithm. Let me go take a breath and write a match report. Thanks for watching this. Chat to you soon. Cheers.